For 20 years everyone thought Ethan was just a poor old janitor. They laughed at him. They ignored him. They treated him like he was nothing. But they made one big mistake. They never asked who he really was. The man cleaning their floors was once a powerful businessman who lost everything because of their lies. Now he is back. Not for money. Not for fame. But for revenge. And the secret he discovered after 20 years will change everything. Every morning at exactly 6:00 a.m. an old janitor named Ethan silently cleaned the halls of Blackwood High School. Students laughed at his old shoes. Teachers ignored him. The principal never looked at him. Everyone believed he was just a poor old man with no family and no future. But nobody knew. 20 years ago Ethan had built that very school with his own money. His business partner betrayed him. He created fake documents and stole everything from Ethan. Ethan lost his company. His wife died because of the stress. And his little daughter disappeared without a trace. After that day Ethan disappeared from the world. Until now. He came back. Not for money. Not for power. He came back for revenge. One afternoon Ethan heard the principal talking on the phone. "We will destroy the evidence tonight, nobody will ever know." Ethan smiled for the first time in 20 years. Because he already had copies of all the secret files. Tomorrow the people who destroyed his life would lose everything. The next morning Ethan walked into Blackwood High School like nothing had happened. The principal looked at him and laughed. "You are still here, people like you never learn." Ethan lowered his head and started cleaning the office. But this time he was not just cleaning. He was searching for the truth. While wiping the principal's desk Ethan secretly placed a small recorder under it. That evening the principal met his old business partner in a hidden room. "We destroyed his company, we made sure Ethan lost everything," the partner whispered. The principal smiled. "But there is still one problem, his daughter." Ethan, who was listening outside, suddenly stopped breathing. His daughter's name had not been spoken for 20 years. "She is still alive," the principal said. "If she finds the old documents, our secret will be exposed." Ethan's hands started shaking. All these years he thought he lost his daughter forever. But now he knew. She was alive. That night Ethan returned to an old storage room under the school. Behind a broken wall he found a hidden metal box. Inside were old photographs, legal papers, and a silver necklace. The same necklace he gave his daughter on her 7th birthday. Under the necklace was a small note. "Ethan, if you found this, it means the truth is finally coming out. Do not trust anyone." Ethan held the note tightly. His revenge was no longer about what they did to him. Now it was about finding his daughter before they could hide her again. For the first time in 20 years Ethan had hope. He spent the entire night studying the documents from the hidden box. One name kept appearing again and again. Sophia. It was his daughter's new name. But where was she now? The next morning Ethan returned to the school. The principal noticed something different about him. "You look happy today," the principal said. Ethan smiled. "Sometimes the past comes back to punish people." The principal laughed. "You think you can do anything?" Ethan calmly replied. "I do not have to do anything, the truth will do it for me." That afternoon Ethan followed the clues from the old documents. They led him to a small town far away from the city. There he found an old woman who worked at an orphanage 20 years ago. When Ethan showed her the necklace, her eyes filled with tears. "I knew you would come one day," she whispered. Ethan was shocked. "You know my daughter?" The woman slowly opened an old photo album. Inside was a picture of a young girl wearing the same necklace. Ethan's hands started shaking. "Where is she?" he asked. The woman looked at him sadly. "She is closer than you think." Before Ethan could ask anything else, a black car stopped outside. The principal men had found him. The old woman quickly hid the photo album. "Ethan, you have to leave, they know the truth is coming out." Ethan looked through the window. For 20 years he had been waiting for this moment. Now his enemies were afraid. Because they knew. Ethan was no longer the helpless janitor. He was the man who was about to destroy their entire empire. The black car stopped in front of the old orphanage. 3 men stepped out. Ethan immediately recognized one of them. It was Victor, his former business partner. The man who destroyed his life 20 years ago. Victor smiled. After all these years you are still looking for your daughter. Ethan stood silently. Victor walked closer. You should have stayed hidden. Some truths are better left buried. Ethan looked at him and said. No, Victor, lies are what should be buried. Victor became angry. Do you really think an old janitor can defeat me? Ethan smiled. You still do not understand who I am. Victor froze. At that moment Ethan's phone received a message. The evidence has been uploaded. Years ago Ethan secretly saved copies of every important document. The proof of the fraud. The fake contracts. The stolen money. Everything was now safe. Victor's face turned pale. You planned this? Ethan replied. I spent 20 years waiting for this day. Victor stepped back. Suddenly the old woman from the orphanage came outside holding the photo album. Ethan, there is something you need to know. She opened the last page. There was a recent picture of Sophia. But standing beside her was the principal of Blackwood High School. Ethan's heart stopped. His daughter had been living near the people who destroyed their family. And she had no idea. Her father was still alive. Ethan looked at Victor with anger in his eyes. This is not over. Victor smiled. Actually, Ethan. It is just beginning. Ethan could not believe what he was seeing. The picture in his hand changed everything. His daughter Sophia was alive. But she was working with the same people who destroyed their family. For a moment Ethan felt broken. Then he remembered the promise he made 20 years ago. I will find you, Sophia, no matter how long it takes. The next day Ethan returned to Blackwood High School. But this time, he was not carrying a mop. He was carrying the truth. The principal walked into his office and froze. Sitting there was Ethan. How did you get in here? The principal asked. Ethan placed the evidence on the desk. Your biggest mistake was thinking I was just a janitor. The principal's face turned pale. The police arrived moments later. The fake documents, the stolen money records and recorded conversations were finally revealed. Victor and the principal were arrested. But Ethan had one last person to find. Sophia. He followed the final clue from the old documents and reached a small house outside the city. A young woman opened the door. Can I help you? The same necklace he had given his daughter. His eyes filled with tears. Sophia. The girl froze. How do you know my name? Ethan slowly showed her an old photograph. I am your father. Years of pain, anger, and loneliness disappeared in that one moment. Sophia hugged him and cried. I thought I had no family. Ethan smiled. You were never alone. I was always looking for you. Months later, Ethan rebuilt his life. He did not take revenge with anger. He took revenge with the truth. And the world finally learned. The quiet old janitor was never weak. He was the man who survived everything. And came back to protect the person he loved the most. The end.